The only people who don't want to disclose the truth are people with something to hide.
Can I do the introduction for Bettina, Rick? Because we've been friends. We started as Facebook friends way back when, and we've been in this political fight, and she has a very interesting story to tell, and it actually touches right on what Mahmoud was just saying about the voter thing. I'll let her tell it. Her background is she's a film producer. She lives on the left coast. She lives in Beverly Hills. She's very highly thought of in the conservative community out there. It's a really tough thing to be a liberal on the left coast, as we know.
Mm-hmm.
She's a hard fighter, a friend of Andrew Breitbart. So tell your story, how you were apolitical and then came into the conservative fold here, Bettina. That's your story to tell.
Well, I mean, I spent, since I was 19 years old, all of my time in the film business, and I never voted, not once, until 2008. And the reason was, number one, if you're not a liberal in California, you figure your vote doesn't matter. But number two, I just thought my country was always going to be okay, and I didn't have to vote because we were America and we survive everything and blah, blah, blah. And then back in 2008, I'm also a literary manager, one of my clients and best friend, who's a director, got a phone call from someone who had worked in the Hillary White House, the Bill Clinton White House, worked for Hillary, and said, do you want to make a documentary film about voter fraud in the Democratic primary? So my client called me and said, do you want to produce this? And I started laughing. I said, what are you talking about? Are you kidding? I can't imagine anything more boring than the Democratic primary. But my mother was a Hillary supporter, so for whatever reason I said yes, and we spent our own money flying all over the country interviewing people about this caucus fraud. Caucuses are hotbeds for fraud. That's why the Democrats keep them, is because it's the easiest place to commit fraud. I mean, it's a joke, actually. And, almost like immediately we saw the Obama, Saul Alinsky, create chaos, Acorn. It was possibly, I'm scarred for life. I will never forget it. I will never forget the death threats, the vandalism, the theft, the phony documentation, the falsification of documents, the threats. These people are appalling. I don't even know how to say it in a different way, but I will never forget it. I mean, the people we interviewed, there were 2,000 complaints in Texas alone, in one state. And there were also criminal complaints at the police stations for all the vandalism and threats. And, they play dirty. So we made the documentary. We only did it in 5 weeks. So we slammed together as much footage as we could. I didn't go, but my partners, who were all Hillary Democrats, flew to Denver for the convention, took the film. They took 100 copies, rented a theater, showed the movie there. We actually thought that because we had proven that Obama stole the nomination from Hillary, that, they would go, okay, you proved the fraud, we'll give it back. But it was the DNC and the Nancy Pelosi's and Howard Dean's and all that who committed the fraud with Obama. So we were basically reporting it to the people who did it, which got us nowhere. So we watched the fake, phony, Hillary stepping down, which we knew about the night before. It was all orchestrated theater. It just, we saw them not call California in the roll call because California had said, forget it, we don't care how much you threaten us, we're going to stand for Hillary. So they passed over California entirely. It was the worst experience of my life.
Do you think the Republicans do the same?
No, I absolutely do not. There is absolutely no way that they have Acorn, and here's the difference. And I'm going to tell you why Republicans, just on a philosophy basis, don't do this. Because Democrats don't consider voter fraud to be bad. They don't consider breaking laws to be bad because they have moral relativity. You're stupid. They know better than you do what's right for the country, and so if they cheat, steal, and lie, they're doing it for the better good, and it's okay. For instance, what we saw, and we will see this in 2012, and we've seen this in every election from the Democrats, they literally, Acorn and all of them get banned, and they drive down the streets in Skid Row, and they pick up the bums, the drunks, the homeless people, and they offer them cigarettes and booze and money to get in the van and go to vote. And they drive them to vote. They tell them who to vote for. They give them their cigarettes, their booze, and their money, and they drop them back in the gutter. But that's okay, because they've helped somebody get to go vote. The problem is they told them who to vote for, and they bought them things. They did that in old folks' homes, people with Alzheimer's, and who had no idea even where they were. They'd go load up these people, drive them to the polls, tell them to vote for Obama, and take them back home. So to them, that's not cheating. That's taking somebody to vote. That's getting out the vote. That's taking people who ordinarily would not vote. That's taking them to the polls. So that's okay.
Public
I
service and
don't
all
think
that.
I don't see Republicans' mentality doing that. I just don't think that kind of moral relativity where it doesn't matter what we do because it's for the better good. I don't see that. So, I just think it's a completely different mindset. And I have physically seen the Acorn and New Black Panther offices in Houston that Obama set up 2 years ago. I mean, they've been planning this fraud for years. I mean, since the day he was elected. They're not going to let this go.
No.
Horrible economy, destroying the country, be damned. They don't care. He's going to win one way or another. So, I really applaud people like Catherine Engelbrecht, who has, in Houston, True the Vote. By the time November rolls around, she says she will have trained 1 million poll watchers, because now we have to watch what they do.
From what I had seen, and we're seeing a lot more of this come out now, with the new media, that Obama has had a history of this, because, if I'm not mistaken, he had done something, I think something of this during his Senate elections in Illinois.
He did something that was unprecedented, unheard of, unethical, and amoral. First what happened was he had a mentor, a black woman named Alice Palmer, who she's the one that asked Bill Ayers to throw the big coming out political party in his living room. I know her. She actually became a Hillary supporter because of this.
Oh.
But she actually was his mentor, and she decided to go run for Congress. She failed, and she wanted her Senate seat back, which was the one Obama was running for, with his own mentor's seat. She and 4 other people were on the ballot for that Senate seat. Obama hired a private detective and an attorney to disqualify all of the petition signatures for all of the other candidates, and he ran unchallenged. He got, and there's video of this from MSNBC, he got all 4 or 5 of his challengers booted off the ballot. Well, the whole thing's been rigged. They chose him. I have an email from Donna Brazile from back in 2004. I mean, they had chosen him that far back, and they weren't going to let someone like Hillary get in the way. They were going to rob, cheat, and steal no matter what. He was going to be the candidate no matter what anybody did. And the problem is you can't enforce the laws against the DNC, which is nothing but a crime syndicate. You can't, because it's a private party. And we tried. We tried hiring lawyers all over this country. We had a lawyer in Pasadena that was willing to try to sue them for what they did. But because they're a private party, they can have their nomination, their candidate, any way they want. Doesn't matter if they lie or steal. What does matter, and Gloria Allred is in our film, and what's shameful about her, which she's shameful anyway, is that as an attorney, she knew that in a lot of states in this country, it's against the law for a pledged delegate to change their vote, because a delegate is to take the vote to the floor for their constituents. And what the DNC was doing was forcing them to violate the will of their voters. And it didn't matter. Gloria Allred was well aware of it.
Tell the best story. I think it was either Chicago or Dallas that you told me about.
No, you know there's going to be, and there always has been, and I don't really have the answer to why, but Lake County, Indiana is like hotbed of fraud. Even in the general election when we were watching it in 2008, for some reason the fraud kept coming up at Gary, Indiana, all over Lake County. But in our film that I know more about Obama than I ever want to know. I'm actually so scared that I know these things and that this country has this guy in our White House, because we had women from Trinity Church and his district in Chicago in our film. You know, they have incredible, I spent hours talking to these women, and you won't believe who this person is. But there was
in your film, they were so terrified that you had to block their faces out, right?
Yeah. Well, in our film, the people that got it the worst were the black people, the threats, the death threats. And when we put them in our film, we had to block their faces out because they were so scared. But one of the women who actually knows Obama pretty well from Trinity and used to share offices with him and go out and smoke with him, one of the women was going to vote in Indiana, and she walked up to the polling place, and they had two big, huge, like, massive black kids on either side of the door in lawn chairs. And they were screaming, if you're here to vote for Hillary Clinton, you know, expletives, F you, you won't be voting today, get out. And they were threatening bodily harm. And a lot of these people were elderly in this district, and they would just turn around and not vote. They were too scared to go in the building.
This film that you made, where did people, was it in the movie theaters? Is that where people saw it?
No, what happened was we spent a ton of money getting it to a certain point, took it to Denver. We thought the Democratic Party would do the right thing when we showed them what happened, but of course they were the ones committing the fraud. So that was that. But then we have a ton of footage left. We want to finish it, and interestingly enough, my partner on the film, who owns it with me, is a Democrat, and she is also a filmmaker. And I think somewhere along the way she got scared because I was trying to nudge her to finish it. And then we spent a lot of time with Andrew Breitbart, who came to my office and sat for 3 hours about helping us put our film with his Pigford film. Now we know that's not going to happen. And we had offers from PJ Media and other people to help us finish it, but for whatever reason, I can't get my partner. She's afraid, I think.
Wow.
She's got all the threats. She is in the film business, and you get blackballed if you don't toe the line. I wrote letters to everybody. I wrote letters to Dianne Feinstein. I wrote letters to everybody, and nobody cares because this guy is nothing but a two-bit mafia thug and criminal. He no more belongs in that White House than my dog.
And yesterday, somebody posted online, they found a 1990 article in the paper, 1990, and the headline was, Kenyan-born Barack Obama will set the U.S. Senate.
That was me.
Oh, was it you?
Mm-hmm.
So it's acknowledged. This is back to 19. Then all of a sudden, when he wanted to run for president, that was all erased. And you know, now he was born in Hawaii. And I was never a Bertha, but I got to tell you, I'm really starting to believe that he is not an American in any way, shape, or
do you know who the original birthers are? Do you know who started it?
No.
Hillary and Bill Clinton started it because it's true. And I heard it directly out of their mouths. He is not eligible. They knew it. Bill Clinton made a reference to it when he was being interviewed, and somebody asked him, is Obama qualified to be president? And he told everybody to watch him do it. And he laughed, and he said, if he's over 35 and a citizen of the United States, sure, why not? And he was smiling because he knew. And we were told repeatedly that Bill Clinton was going to tell the truth about it, and
Right.
they threatened him.
Well, that
And
was,
you know, there's no way this guy can be legit under the Constitution. He just can't.
But
Not
let me ask
possible.
you. Let
And
me
it's,
ask
well,
you.
it's not
just
being
it.
a birther because that's rude.
The only people who don't want to disclose the truth are people with something to hide.